What life-changing item can you buy for less than $100? Heroin. Edit. You just said life-changing, it doesn't need to be a good thing. Technically the truth. The best kind of truth. I used to do drugs. Still do, but I used to too. R.I.P. Mitch Hedberg. Funny. But to be honest and fair, the best $30 one could ever spend would be on a hit of pure MDMA. Ecstasy is no joke, not to be underestimated, and so named for good reason. Feeling loved, loving, and euphoric with a strong sense of attachment can be life-changing, especially for those who do not have those feelings readily available. A king-size blanket for a queen-size bed. I got a king for a double bed. Best decision ever. The double sheets fit the bed, but I couldn't snuggle completely under them without curling up. Now, I can hide completely under the duvet stretched out. Best thing ever in the winter. If I pull the covers completely over myself, the boogeyman can't find me. Just make sure your foot doesn't hang over the edge of the bed. I have a king-size bed, and even king-size comforters are kind of small, so my partner and I have two king-size comforters, one each side, so no one has to share. A dash cam for your car can protect you from wrongful claims, also vandalisms and theft. I got one. Although I have never been in an accident before, knock on wood, the peace of mind that it gives me to know that I have backup evidence or anything of that sort for future issues is calming. Best $50 spent in the last 30 days. Or maybe some sweet internet points down the road from catching some happenstance situation. Remember all them rad meteorite videos from Russia because everyone had a dashcam? I'm not going to lie, when I was installing it the thought also went through my head, haha, I don't have many points so I would be banking on that lol. My mom had a dash cam in her van for years. When she got into a really bad accident with an 18-wheeler, we were able to use that to our advantage. I've had one for a few years. Finally paid off when a guy backed into me at full throttle while we were waiting at a red light. Without it, I'm sure I would have been blamed for rear-ending him. Carbon monoxide detector. Post-it notes are far cheaper. Our landlord isn't letting me talk to you, but it's important we do. I feel happy I recognize this. It's quite legendary. Such a crazy moment of Reddit history, lol. I had to take the batteries out of mine. The beeping was making me sleepy and giving me a headache. Edit. I don't remember writing this. Was I hacked? Oh no. May sound simple, but a good pillow. It is amazing the change in body aches and sleep you see when you have a good pillow that fits you. How does one find the perfect pillow? Edit. Time to start my journey into the world of pillow shopping. Thank you everyone for the responses. I thought that I liked memory foam and other fancy pillows, but the real life changer for me was a buckwheat pillow. I have sleep apnea and it allows me to get my head into the perfect position and keep it there comfortably. Edit. Before you go out and buy one, please research the pros and cons. They aren't for everyone. Consider them if you like a firmer pillow, occasionally wake up with an achy neck from lack of support, and want a pillow that breathes well. Someone in the comments has also pointed out that you will win every pillow fight you get into. Downsides are, if you shift around in your sleep a lot, you'll need to adjust the pillow to fit your new position. Adjusting the pillow and settling in makes a little bit of noise as the buckwheat husks rub against each other, kind of like dry leaves crinkling. Some people are also allergic to buckwheat, but there are other similar fillings such as millet husks. Organic fillings also need to be replaced once in a while since it breaks down over time. Oh man, did my life change when I got my buckwheat pillow. I tried using the standard pillows but could never find one that was comfy. Memory foam got too hot or would compress to a pancake. Getting used to the noise took like a week or so, but after that, pure bliss. What's the weirdest thing you've overheard while pretending to be asleep? My daughter explaining to our cat and non-existent dogs that they have to all be super quiet because daddy's very tired, and if they made a noise she'd lock them in her dungeon with the mean boys. So sweet? Already defending her daddy. I am very gassy in my sleep, so I overheard my wife talking to our cat. Sometimes he toots really loud before a poop comes out. To which our cat meowed back. This is hilarious? Hey, do you think he'll notice if I take his last piece of bologna? Then me yawning pretending to wake up. 2 minutes later, go get me a bologna sandwich. I admire your dedication to bologna. I could never leave one slice. I'd either add it as a bonus slice or eat it while I make the sandwich. I'd feel worse leaving one solo piece to ponder life while awaiting imminent death. Best friend / roommate coming to check and see if I was still in the room. I was just under the blanket, then when he thinks the coast's clear, he proceeds to talk about wanting to beat my ass and a bunch of other random shit about me. I assume he's neither your friend or roommate anymore. I cut contact after ending the lease early. He of course came crawling back about a year or two later, and I just saw the same signs, so I've cut contact since. Dude with / is a massive alcoholic and narcissist, the type to get all your friends to gang up on you when you wrong him. I was sleeping on the job, but then I woke up partly. Didn't want to move yet because nothing was going on that day, so I just laid there with my eyes closed. I heard a coworker, whom I'm on friendly terms with and talk shit with constantly, come into the office area. He spoke to another coworker, walked past me, and then I heard him stop. I could feel that he was staring at me. All of a sudden, what the? This boy's hands are small as hell. And then kept on walking. I could only be offended, LMAO. Edit, my first 1K plus comment is about my small ass hands being targeted. Bruh. This is the opposite of vindicated. Edit, validation. I meant validation. What the? This boy's hands are small as hell. And then kept on walking. I could only be offended, LMAO. He knew you were awake. That's some off-the-wall kind of shit I would say to a friend to fuck with them if I knew they were playing possum. My ex from like 10 years ago talking to the man she was cheating on me with. Her, I can't wait to see you, I love you. Her, no, he doesn't matter, I want you so badly, my body craves you. Who says stuff like this? Is what I was thinking at the time. Me, rolls over, you better get going then, huh? She left and then had the nerve to get angry at me for pulling all of her stuff out by the garbage and for having retrieved my apartment key from her purse while she was getting ready to leave. I.e. putting on the lingerie I got her. It was so surreal. Friend of mine used to iron her husband's shirts, whilst knowing he was getting dressed up to go out to his mistress. Was tough to see that one, she looked so defeated. He stunk of cologne and had the nerve to kiss her on the cheek as he left. Smell lingered until he came home pissed and disheveled. The whole village knew, she knew they knew. I was at a rave sometime around 2001 and kinda shitty because I was ready to go home after working a double, but my friends were all having a great time and I didn't have a ride. I laid down in a pile of coats along a wall and two guys looking for keys or coats or something came across me and thought I was dead. They were obviously FK'd up on some drugs and even took my pulse but couldn't find it. They talked about what to do but ultimately decided to leave me, the dead chick, on the floor and let someone deal with it after the party so they didn't ruin anyone's good time with the cops showing up. Should have just followed them around for the rest of the rave like a ghost and just kept whispering, why did you leave me in there, you know what you saw. People talking about how easy it would be to take advantage of me, but ultimately deciding not to be. See, they cared about me and respected me? Ed my head up. I'm sorry, but that's weird, creepy and fucked up. This coming from a man. Those thoughts shouldn't even come through your head. Edit. I'm sorry for your comment turning into a thread and turning into drama. Was the direction I did not see going to. As a lot of people asked. I did not confront them, what's the point? They deny. I did stop talking to 3 of the 5. I was awake and listening. The other one is a lifelong friend to this day and they dissented, ew that's gross, don't talk about worldly paint that way, that's our sister, what's wrong with you, etc. I do understand I'm not altogether bad looking and the only girl around at the moment, but when the conversation takes a turn from a wow she has a nice but she could def get it to imagine I slip her pants off, I bet she wouldn't wake up, yeah I could take the front, you take the back. I felt very vulnerable as I am not strong enough physically to stop them if they did go forward. I started slowly stirring as if I was waking up and they stopped dead in their tracks and I went home. Heard they ordered hookers after. While sadly I actually do feel better that they respected me too much to act on it, what if it wasn't me? Do they do this to other girls just because they can? At 39 today, and this incident was in 2005, and I'm not sure why, but to this day most of my friends are men, not the same ones, and while I've heard the most of how men talk / I know this is not normal for men. Roommate's first girl he brought home. Are you sure subreddit icon, OP, is asleep? Roommate. Yeah. Trust me, I'm HIV positive he's asleep. Girl, what? Me, what? He was a real low IQ country boy who loved South Park so much he would say lines from the show that no one knew and think he was the funniest person. Killer, hiding in the closet. What? Monster under the bed. What? Bill Gates said, I will always choose a lazy person to do a difficult job because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it. What's a real-life example of this? I knew a guy who had a low-level data / reporting job. He had several daily / weekly work responsibilities, including a bunch of reports that needed quite a bit of tweaking from raw data to finished product. But like I said, low level. We didn't find out until way later, but he had set up macros for each of his major responsibilities where he could. Once set up, he'd just run the macros to do his work, but then he'd, smartly, hold off on delivering the reports until just a little before the deadlines. He did every assignment and was seen as reliable. He also would complain about the workload so people would leave him with that work. I doubt he did a full hour of work a day after he set up what he did. Eventually he left the job for one with better pay. But damn did he work lazy. Also, he was smart not to reveal until the end, because had he told them about it he would have gotten a pat on the back and would have been given a whole other workload, on top of maintaining those macros / etc. Dude milked the job, not the other way around. Any good IT guy will find a way to automate his job so he can sit around browsing Reddit. I left my last sysadmin job and the next guy called me and asked how I was doing the work of 3 people. He was going through the daily playbook and was so far behind. I asked him if he was going through the manual playbook or the automated playbook, as I had left both on my desk. Evidently my former boss had taken the automated one to do the work in the interim and never told the new hire about it. Bingo! The fact that you left 2 manuals is very kind of you though. It was a great environment and great small team, so I made sure they were okay when I left. The only reason I left is somewhere was going to pay me more than double and they could not afford to even come close to matching it. You was the real MVP by documenting your systems. When I left my job I tossed all my work files in trash. My replacement called me at my new job to ask where they were. I told the truth. If someone gives you 2 weeks notice, don't tell them they can leave now. Doesn't go over well. I don't get this, isn't 2 weeks notice usually just as a courtesy to the employer? If they are okay with you leaving right away / sooner, wouldn't that be a good thing? I remember I worked in a small IT department in college and the head admin had everything automated. He'd spend the whole day playing games or watching YouTube, but he still performed all of his duties in a timely manner. One day we played a full game of Civ 5 while monitoring the progress of a script that updated everyone in the office from XP to Win 7. All of the work got done on time and correctly, so we really weren't doing anything wrong. If you were doing your job and nothing breaks, they ask why they have you. If something breaks, they ask why they have you. It's the IT catch-22. The flip side is that most people are so technologically illiterate / lazy that performing the most basic of IT functions in front of them makes you look like an ingenious wizard. Then again, they don't share your excitement when you do something actual wizardrous because they lost you after 30 seconds. IT guy here, who fucked up? I'm not trained in IT but in commercial shipping. When I came in the office on the first day, I got the rundown and started working. I found so many systems that just didn't make sense and were completely inefficient. Like a good MO-ear, shipping term, I made a report and gave it to my boss. He said, "Great ideas, go ahead." I executed them and a month later the team went from 40-ish to 25 cause it saved so much time. Sorry colleagues. I found a decent way around that problem. Usually I will come up with some other way to occupy time that will earn money. A simple, "Hey, we could be doing this thing and making bank" proposed at first, then when they say we don't have time or resources, give them the time-saving proposal. Follow it up with I found some inefficiencies here that could be automated to save time and money needed for that other thing. Some employers might just take the second way anyway, but at least you tried. Any employer should be looking for new income anyway. My brother gave my oldest nephew $10 a week if he did all his chores without needing to be told or complaining. One day he gets home early from work and sees the neighbor kid tossing a bag in the trash. He asks him what he is doing and the kid says he gets $5 a week to take care of a few chores. My nephew outsourced his chores. Outsourcing and child labor? This kid's destined to be a Nike CEO one day. Nephew it. Gotta start young. Nestle has entered the chat. China has joined the chat. An older company had a person dedicated to data entry, which boiled down to copying and pasting portions of data from text files into spreadsheet and formatting into a report. The person originally doing this job spent the full 40+ hours / week doing it, but was not very computer literate. When they retired, the company hired someone with actual skills. The new hire convinced management to let her work remotely after getting up to speed on the job. The first week at home was spent automating the entire job. The remainder of their multi-year tenure with the company was spent doing whatever they wanted, save the 10 to 15 minutes weekly to run their program and to answer the odd email here and there, all while getting paid full salary and benefits. They actually had to add in a few errors now and then to make it seem realistic. An older company had a person dedicated to data entry, which boiled down to copying and pasting portions of data from text files into spreadsheet and formatting into a report. I've worked a few places that have people doing this. Usually when they retire, the job is given to some younger person that figures out how to do it in 10 minutes on top of the rest of their normal job. In this case, since the retiring person worked full-time doing this and often struggled to meet deadlines, they hired a replacement. My GF works for an insurance company and basically spent months working on spreadsheets to compile quarterly vendor claims for the last 10 years, each quarter with thousands of rows. I just finished my MS in analytics. I spent a few hours with her asking exactly what she needed to do. Wrote 3 lines of code in SQLite and basically saved her months of work. Now when she has to work in these projects, she runs the program and that's that. I was pretty proud of that. I work in insurance, am currently on Reddit because I've finished my work for the day. It's 1 p.m., I started at 11 and am done at 7 p.m. I'm bored already. Draw, study, do something you might value as productive in an interest of yours. Don't squander the time, you'll regret it later. If you can, that is. Without saying what the category is, what are your top 5? Green, blue, black, yellow, pink. Power Rangers. Heck yeah. Never. Gonna. Give. You. Up. Top 5 ways to let me down. Goddamn it, OP, just slaying it. Silicone, glass, ABS, hard plastic, steel, aluminum. Top 5 things that should be used for breast implants. How the freak are you so funny? Crippling depression mostly. I see we went to the same clown college. Hard, wet, rapid fire, pressed against a surface, silent. Top 5 ways to describe both an orgasm and a fart. Ha, uncomfortably correct. Toilet paper, ice cream, sweet tea, Windex, zip ties. Top 5 sex toys. I gotta have my tools. I like to bind, I like to be bound. Visual Basic, JavaScript, Python, Perl, Hitler. Top 5 topics that the writers of NCIS don't understand. I'm dying. Hitler, Cosby, Jung, Rothschild, Rockefeller. Top 5 baby names 2018. That got me. Dragonfruit, mango, pineapple, honeydew melon, apple mulberries. Edit. Look at the commas, guys. Some people call the fruit honeydew melon like us Aussies. I didn't list 6. Top 5 fruits to put on pizza to really piss off your friends. Especially at the same time. Dylan, 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 and Dylan. Top 5 people who legally changed their name to Dylan. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Exorcist, Motel Hell, Dawn of the Dead, Halloween. Top 5 movies to put on in the background while your baby sleeps. On point? We'll surely do this if I ever have kids. 54632. Civilization Games. Would anyone be interested in a trade agreement with England? Salisbury Hills. Africa. Mr. Tembo. In Too Deep. Livin' on a Prayer. Top 5 songs that you would like to hear ska covers of. You're so right.
So, who ruined Christmas morning and how did they do it? Grandma forgot where she hid the presents. Haven't found them yet. Are they meowing under the tree? Aunt Bethany? Does your cat by any chance like Jell-O? I don't know about that cat, but I sure am enjoying it. Eddie, I couldn't be any more surprised if I woke up tomorrow morning with my head sewn to the carpet. Drove 4 hours to spend the day with my dad at his request 3 weeks ago. Then immediately after lunch, not even dinner, he said he and his new girlfriend of 4 weeks were invited to a friend's dinner and were going there. My drive was longer than the time he spent with me at his house. So now I'm watching Christmas movies and drinking with my grandma instead. After trying to fix our relationship that's been rocky since I was a teenager, now in my 30s, it's great to realize he truly doesn't care. Sounds like you're absolved from making an effort in the future. You did everything you could. Absolution from guilt is priceless. My ex told me she was going to stay the night at her mom's house on Christmas Eve because she missed her. I said, yes, that's your mom. Go spend time with her, and that we'd met up in the morning. Her mom is calling me Christmas morning asking to speak with her and that she couldn't get a hold of her. I said she should be over there, correct? Her mom said nope, she hasn't seen her all night. That's how I found out she was cheating on me. Edit. Thanks everyone for your words. I'm doing fine and will be okay through it all. Going to be living with family for a bit. And for anyone curious, we were together for 5 years. Of all the days to tell somebody you'll be somewhere where you aren't, Christmas Day has to be the dumbest. That day of the year when everybody's most likely to contact one another. There's the story of that US 9 to 11 thing where a guy who worked in one of the buildings was married, went off to what his wife thought was work, and she frantically called him when she heard the news that his building had been hit by a plane. He casually replied that he was at work. What's she so upset about? He was at his affair partner's place somewhere else and hadn't heard the news yet. WTF LOL. I gave my little girl a drone. It went up in the air the first time and just kept going and going and going. That was like 8 hours ago. Could still be going. Gotta set the home point before sending it out. Otherwise, the moment it loses connection, it will try to return to the factory in China. That's what the local F-22 is waiting for. Opens up one eager eye. I'm Mr. Brightside. My sister brought her dog, who immediately walked over and threw up all over my kid's presents as if he'd been planning to do that all year. Sorry, but compared to everything else in this thread, I just chuckled so hard LOL. I can see it perfectly. My man hates those kids. I'm just picturing the dog thinking, you've got this, Rover. Just 5 more minutes and then you can puke all over their presents. Burp, oh God, I'm gonna puke. Nope, hold it in, buddy, almost there. It'll be worth it, I promise. My mother. She screamed at my dad like a banshee at about 6 a.m. All my dad did was put water in the coffee maker. When you put water in, it immediately starts brewing. I guess that was too early in the morning to start the coffee. I'm not exactly sure what her beef was. For context, for the first time in several years, my entire immediate family were all under one roof for an extended period of time. We were staying at my grandmother's house for the holidays. My mother has always been prone to fits of rage. Growing up, she exploded often. I haven't been around it in 9 years, neither have my brothers, but we got an ugly reminder of her behavior yesterday morning. My dad doesn't believe in divorce. He works nights to avoid her. They pass like ships in the night. They have separate bedrooms and separate lives. My dad's uncle just passed away. That's why we all came together. We typically don't celebrate Christmas together. I overpaid to fly home today, and I opted out of Christmas dinner to do so. I left 2 days before everyone else. I can't do it. It's as if she's possessed by a demon. Damn, sounds like growing up with my mom. If there were 2 ways to do a task and you picked the wrong way, you'd get yelled at. Good luck figuring out which one was the right way to do it. I know a few people like this. Then they bitch when they have to do everything themselves. Oh yeah, lots of, I guess I'll do it since my little prince can't figure it out. Style guilt tripping. But the family did lots of therapy and we've got a pretty great relationship now. My brother by existing. My family flew into Paris from one country, he flew in from another, and had a complete mental breakdown because no one came to the airport to escort him to our Airbnb and ordered him an Uber instead. He proceeded to scream and abuse my parents, stating that they abandoned him and left him to fend for himself in the wild unknown that is CDG Airport. He then threatened to leave immediately and refused to leave his room, not even to eat, as a form of protest for my parents being so horrible to him. He is 35 years old, and my parents bought his tickets and this trip is on their dime entirely. Mon Dieu, that's terrible. CDG isn't even that terrible on the airport horror scale. I want everyone to spend time at Orlando International.
What was this? Seriously, a gift you opened this Christmas? My brother gave me a bright orange wallet. Because you like orange so much, he said while flashing the wallet I gave him a few years ago. It's red. He's colorblind. I think that makes it even better, LOL. 3 bottles of wine. Every year for the past 8 years I work into a conversation with this person that I don't drink. Usually at a dinner or party, can I get you a drink? Thank you, I'm good with water, I don't drink alcohol. Every year I get wine. They gifted you 3 free passes to your next 3 dinner parties. Actually, you mentioning this made me realize this isn't actually a bad gift in that respect. If a person doesn't drink, they may know very little about what a good wine is to bring to a dinner or to gift to someone else, so making that purchase for them is less of a physical gift to them and more of a favor-y type gift, much like 1 free night of babysitting. It provides them with a bottle they can bring to their next dinner or gift to someone who does drink without the hassle of figuring out what to buy and from where. I gave up drinking about 3 years ago. Not a 12-step thing or anything, just wasn't a fan of the buzz anymore and the calories were piling up. Had about 6 bottles of wine still in my cupboard. Used them all as dinner gifts. Loved not having to waste them. Cheap Bat said I'm allergic to every year twice a year for 20 years. Edit. My God. Thank you everyone for all your kindness and sharing. I cannot believe how this blew up. I got a positive one that made me say seriously? In an excited way. My husband got me a ring with our kids' birthstones and it was so unexpected and touching. I also made a comment about the stocking thing going around about moms having empty stockings. He tries and puts a couple small things in. I mentioned it was such a fond memory having an overstuffed stocking with a couple small gifts and loads of candy. My stocking was comically stuffed this year with some items even having to sit beside it. Bless this man. My husband and I only do stockings for each other. It's adorable. Last year we were the only kids at my folks' place at Christmas. We were staying the night. We have a large Christmas in July every year as there are 30 plus of us with siblings / spouses / grandkids / their SO and children. My parents both grew up very poor. Like a candy cane and an orange for Christmas poor. Me and my husband bought all kinds of stocking stuffers and at 3 a.m. snuck downstairs and filled their decorative stockings. We filled each other's too. Even their cat. Awoke at 7 a.m. to hear my 74-year-old father hysterically laughing and my mom singing A Santa Claus Came. They were already digging in by the time we got to the living room. It was the best thing I've ever seen. I love this so much. Thank you for sharing. I grew up in generational poverty and in a multi-generational home. My stocking was the way I felt loved and blessed every Christmas. I was my grandmother's only grandchild. She gifted me an enormous stocking on my first Christmas, like twice the length and 1.5 times the width of everyone else's. And she hand-embroidered my name on it. Even if there was nothing under the tree but the cats, my stocking was always full to overflowing. Sure, sometimes it was mostly oranges or cool shells from the beach or homemade cookies, but it always truly felt like Santa visited when I saw that stocking on Christmas morning. First gift I opened said it was from my mom. There was a small jewelry box which I opened to find 4 molars. My sister starts cracking up. They're her wisdom teeth LMAO. Her husband even found something with my mom's handwriting on it to make the tag believable. My MIL is very much a theme giver. My husband gets all things WVU because we're alumni. My son gets everything saxophone related because that is what he plays. My daughter gets gifts with cats because he likes cats. I have been dealing with breast cancer for the past year. My birthday and Mother's Day gifts were breast cancer related. I told to please not do that for Christmas. Well, she didn't listen. She got me a breast cancer awareness shirt, Christmas ornament, because nothing screams Christmas like cancer, and a tabletop snowman decorating a Christmas tree with breast cancer ribbons. I was polite and said thank you, but inside I wanted to scream, "Are you kidding me?" I'm not sure if it is all going to Goodwill or the trash. Wife is battling pancreatic cancer at the moment and I can't imagine this. I'm sending you a virtual hot cocoa basket with a really cool movie and popcorn on either side of some sweet mugs. Merry Christmas and we'll be thinking about ya. Recovering gambling addict here, thankfully I managed to kick the habit before it totally ruined my life. This year I got a bunch of lottery scratch-off cards. Had my wife do the honors with them, and joke is on my family, they actually won a decent amount of money. Nothing life-changing, but will definitely pay for some bills we knew were on the way. Yes, they knew about my addiction. They still have gotten me Texas Hold'em poker sets when those were en vogue and other gambling-related stuff over the years. Despite my continued insistence they not, and pointing out that some of these would be like giving a recovering alcoholic a gift card to the liquor store. The gift of not being heard. Recovering boozer here. I can't count how many times in the past people who knew I was in full-blown, "This really isn't good" level addiction got me bottles as gifts. I mean, thanks, not like it went to waste, but a very odd choice. A $50 Visa gift card from an extended family member. You see, I had also gotten her a $50 Visa gift card. We basically both made it harder for ourselves to spend the money we already had. Edit. I'm normally known for giving very thoughtful and personalized gifts, so I kind of hate that this comment is blowing up, LOL. This person is on my partner's side of the family, and I was very specifically instructed to get her a Visa gift card, as she is very picky and apparently often does not like the gifts that she receives. Looks like the joke is on me, I guess. And her. And not on Visa. A $50 Visa gift card. I used to hate gift cards or cash as gifts until one day I had a small epiphany. Use them to buy something that you ordinarily wouldn't allow yourself to get. What's going on right now that most people have no idea about? The greater one-horned rhino population in India and Nepal is growing, as highlighted in the State of the Rhino Report 2023 by the International Rhino Foundation. The collaboration among India, Bhutan, and Nepal, along with strict government protection and management, has led to an increase in their population over the past decade. The greater one-horned rhino population, which once numbered as low as 100 in the early 1900s, has increased to more than 4,014 now. Finally, some good fucking news in this thread that isn't about someone's bowel movements. They're breeding the rhinos to use in war to eliminate the existential threat of Tibet once and for all. The Ocean Cleanup Initiative has a new system to clean up an area the size of a football field every 5 seconds. The previous one extracted 282,787 kilograms of trash from the Pacific Ocean so far. They're also working on interceptors for rivers that have collected over 840 tons of trash and counting. There's a long way to go, but they have lots of support and they're making amazing progress. Okay, now back to the bad news. Thanks so much for sharing this growing heart. How do you find positive news? r/uplifting news. That sub is honestly not as great as I thought it would be. I ended up unsubbing because nearly every single post is met with comments from people explaining why said post isn't actually uplifting at all, or if it is uplifting, it's not a big deal or not good enough or not worth celebrating. In short, the commenters of r/uplifting news are somehow some of most miserable, cynical, and pessimistic people on this entire platform, and that is saying a lot. Maybe it has changed since I left and I hope that's the case. But the experience overall left a bad taste in my mouth. It makes sense. People who go out and specifically search for happy news must be feeling sad in the first place. I get the same vibe from all those peppy/happy motivational posters and signs that people hang up in their homes and workplaces. If you need to hang up a sign that says be happy, then you must be generally quite miserable. There's always cool stuff happening in the science community that doesn't make it to the news but really should. Check out thegoodnewsnetwork.org to see some neat things. Here are a few highlights. A new stem cell injection that halts the progression of multiple sclerosis is in clinical trials. The California redwoods weathered the wildfires better than scientists expected and are recovering very well. The FDA approved a treatment that cures sickle cell disease. A complete Stegosaurus fossil with skin still intact has been unearthed. NASA has developed technology for sending data transmissions much further than radio frequencies and recently sent their first transmission 10 million miles away. Scientists are going to start experimenting with lab-grown cooking oils, which could help curb a lot of the environmental damage caused by mass soy, corn, and palm oil farming. Scientists have created natural sponges that can soak up nanoplastics. The CRISPR-Cas9-based treatment for sickle cell anemia also works on beta thalassemia since both are due to defects in hemoglobin. The treatment causes fetal hemoglobin to be expressed again, which is unaffected by the diseases and hopefully alleviates symptoms to where patients do not need any treatments anymore. So exciting to see CRISPR-Cas9-based treatments coming to the clinic. We're in the middle of a great extinction event, meaning species are going extinct at a rate of up to 10,000 times the normal rate. We're actually making the Earth into a monoculture, which means across the Earth we're planting many of the same crops across vast areas such as the US Midwest and transforming the ecosystem into a place where generalists such as coyotes and deer thrive and specialists at certain ecosystems die off. We've currently transformed 40% of the Earth's landmass into crops and farms. Edit. About 2/3 of the farmland I had stated was farmland was actually pasture land, but I wasn't trying to be misleading, it's still part of the monoculture. The US prairie is virtually non-existent, and it was the home of I think like 500 grass species. It's oftentimes the species you don't think about or didn't know existed that go extinct. Isn't it amazing that dinosaurs roamed the Earth for millions of years and it took an asteroid to kill them off? We've had the Earth for a few thousand years and we already caused the next great extinction. Wild. Your child's classroom is being completely overrun by 1 or 2 problem children and your child is hurting because of it. 100% can verify this and will add that there are several factors at play. COVID-related behaviors, parents used unlimited screens to babysit their kids, and the resulting social development stunting added to 2 years of no school routine. School districts fearful of lawsuits, afraid to stand up to sue happy high-income helicopter parents, and or afraid to be the latest news story and disproportionately suspend and expel poor kids or kids of color. The biggest one, and one you can help with, class sizes have increased at least 30% over the last 20 years. So all the normal interventions you could use with problem children are ineffective because there's too many kids in the room, not enough time to spend with each individual kid. You can help this by A. Supporting your local teachers when they bargain/strike because class size is a contract negotiated issue. B. Call your school board and ask what they are doing about using funds to reduce class sizes. C. Support and vote for local legislators who actually know something about education and not the business people who run for school boards and think they know more than teachers because they make more money. How about the total commercialization of the internet? It started as a wild west of entertainment, news, information. Now there are daily propaganda and agendas that get consumed en masse. There are entire swathes of commercialized psychologists finding how to squeeze profit from you on almost every single app, game, streaming service, you name it. There are advanced AI being used by Core to lock you in cages of your own design. So comfortable and cozy that you'd be crazy to disconnect or complain. But why would you want to know that you were just a slave to forces beyond comprehension as long as you are here and a slave your own compulsions? That morality has long fallen by the wayside. We don't even see things like gore, porn, racism as particularly degenerative anymore. We just consume.
Thanks for watching.
What if Earth is like one of those uncontacted tribes in South America, like the whole galaxy knows we're here but they've agreed not to contact us until we figure it out for ourselves? What if aliens showed up here millions of years ago, saw a planet inhabited by enormous lizard monsters and said, fuck that, don't come back to this place? They'd have been like, though this isn't done, leave it on high for a while longer. Then they come back now and be like, damn it, it's full of mold. What if the people that were abducted by aliens were actually abducted by some alien TV host equivalent of the Crocodile Hunter, where he abducts a human and shows it off? Crikey, what an interesting little fella this is. I'm gonna try a bigger anal probe. Ooh, he's angry. They probably treat us like animals on National Geographic. Attention, unidentified spacecraft, you are approaching the planet Terra. Terra has been designated a primitive wildlife zone and has been designated off-limits to interstellar travelers by the Galactic Council. Cut engines and prepare to be boarded. Failure to comply with this demand will result in hostile action. Them calling the Earth by its Latin name implies the Romans really did end up conquering the galaxy. That's actually one of many theories about SETI and alien life. That they're so far ahead of us on the Kardashev scale that for them to try to communicate with us would be like us trying to communicate with ants. Or amoebas. I like the evolutionary trajectory theory version of this. The comparison doesn't even need to be as jarring as humans and ants, it can be as simple as humans and apes. That 2% difference is what makes the difference between our two species. Now imagine another 2% in the same trajectory away from us humans. That's already a theory. Edit, because I'm getting messages and comments about this. I wasn't trying to belittle the guy or say this in a manner that implies I didn't want him to post this here. I just thought that maybe he didn't know this concept already existed, as I've done this with other ideas and would like to know. I think the more common version of this theory assumes they don't contact us because making contact makes themselves visible, and other planets are smart enough to assume there are always bigger fish in the sea. Or they follow the prime directive. I think he means the dark forest theory answer for the Fermi paradox from the 3-body problem books. This is a very common and well-known theory. It's also called the prime directive in the Star Trek universe. Also, Mass Effect followed similar logic. The Council would not implement other planets until they become a higher function, not still fighting each other, etc. Once they have the means to find their interstellar transportation methods, then they can join the Citadel. It made me change my life purpose to hopefully one day seeing humanity unify enough that if this is a thing, then we can be a part of it. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't come to the Sol system, though. Our mass relay was frozen inside Pluto. In fact, I don't think the Council even knew about humans until we booted up our relay. Everyone assumes that there are these superior entities that can conduct out-of-this-world actions. But if you see the evolution of life on this Earth, over 3 billion years of trial and error until a species with the capacity to be self-aware about the universe starts to rise to dominance in the last 200,000 years. Only 10,000 since we've been having the amount of exponential progress we see today. For all we know, life out there could just be reptile-like creatures with no need to be highly intelligent to survive. Perhaps we're the beginning of the alien species. If we ever colonize the universe, humans will evolve differently from one another in a series of rapid, radiative ways. Perhaps we're the ancestors of all intelligent life in our local galaxy. Over 3 billion years of trial and error until a species with the capacity to be self-aware about the universe starts to rise to dominance in the last 200,000 years. If a modern fossil fuel-burning civilization existed at any time before 5 million years ago and nuked themselves, we wouldn't know about it. There are gaps in the fossil record that are measured in millions of years. The main problem with this statement is the nuke part. Irregardless of fossil records, isotopes found in nature exist in extremely specific ratios. If there was any previous civilization on Earth that had advanced enough to develop atomic technology, we would know about it because we would discover isotope ratios that are impossible to produce via natural means. A really cool demonstration of this concept are the Oklo natural fission reactors. Basically, 1.7 billion years ago there was still enough fissionable U-235 left insertion concentrated uranium deposits that these deposits actually turned into natural nuclear reactors when moderated by groundwater seeping in. Keep in mind that this happened almost 2 billion years ago, and even then we know about it because the ratio of isotopes is slightly off. If there was any previous civilization on Earth with atomic technology, we would certainly be able to detect it. Edit, see my reply below for a much more in-depth discussion. With all of the negative headlines dominating the news these days, it can be difficult to spot signs of progress. What makes you optimistic about the future? The plummeting price of solar and wind energy. Edit, thanks for the gold. I will be investing it in solar. Absolute upvote. In Australia, there has been incredible penetration of solar power in the last 10 years, all driven by the economics of solar power in the last 10 years. Well, 2018 is even better than the last 10 years in terms of prices, payoff periods, and sales of solar panels have reflected that. People are installing their panels en masse with zero subsidies. Businesses big and small covering their roofs. It is so crazy, there may be a glut of power in SA when the sun shines, at least. Edit. SA equals South Australia, thanks you/Royal Hines, in as few as 5 years' time, considering the rate of growth. On one Sunday, a few months ago, greater than 50% of all power in SA was generated by rooftop solar alone. That's not even including wind and other large-scale renewables. We don't have hydro in SA. The magic of all this is that it only took a few years of government investment. The market has ramped up, partly in thanks to those subsidies. We are reaping benefits, and we will be for years to come. Government investment. Cries in American asterisk. Don't cry too much, the federal government is still trying to peddle a clean coal. Holy F, this post was made 7 minutes ago and already has 300 comments? But anyway, every day we get closer and closer to a cure for cancer. My mom told me about her diagnosis on Sunday. Both of her parents died of cancer too, 12 years apart. Hopefully in the near future, it's something we won't have to worry about. It's because OP is Bill Gates. Best of luck to your mom. I didn't even see that. And thank you. It's looking hopeful, they've caught it very early. That's good to hear. Wishing her all the best, smiley face. Early diagnosis is one of the best scenarios when it comes to cancer in most cases. That we're almost at the point where we get artificial organs. I could use a kidney. Edit. Guys, thanks a lot for your support, understanding, and most of all the selfless offers you've made, Bell at a kidney, or info. I love you all. Edit 2. I wish I could share some resources on how to be a living donor. If someone could help me in that front so I could share it here. I'm not from the States and I don't know where to start. This is the most humbling experience I've had on Reddit yet. Edit 3. Thanks to you/Ragnaruckus for this resource on living donation. And to you/Tambourine Time for this other resource. Please, if you're thinking of donating, have a look at these resources. Imma get some laser eyes. Since 1990, the number of children who die before their 5th birthday has been cut in half, saving 122 million young lives. In the same period, the fraction of people living in extreme poverty has gone from 1/3 to 1/10. More than 90% of children now attend primary school worldwide. Women now make up more than a fifth of members of parliaments around the world. Workplace and road safety in the US has risen dramatically since our grandparents' time. Edit. I stole these from this article entitled Bill Gates. Here are 5 reasons to be optimistic about 2018. This has probably been my finest moment this year. You just gave Bill Gates an answer from Bill Gates. It's an amazing world we live in, isn't it? The possible return of the American chestnut tree. Fast-growing, rot-resistant, and, perhaps most important, it produces enough calories from the nuts to feed a population. Edit. It turned out that someone from WBUR in Boston saw the interest in this post and wrote an article and made a podcast about it. It's very good. That old chestnut. The death of the American chestnut is also partially responsible for the severity with which the Great Depression struck Appalachia. Chestnuts were a primary food supply for backup reserves in the form of herds of pigs that were allowed free roam. The pigs could be sold or slaughtered to keep families afloat during hard times. The disappearance of the chestnuts killed the viability of the pig herds, causing the economic failsafe to collapse ecologically at the same time that the Great Depression made monetary reserves worthless.
Thanks for
George
watching.
Carlin said, "Think of how stupid the average person is and realize half of them are stupider than that." What real-life example have you seen that validates this view? I worked at a bank. Mobile depositing had just became a thing. We received a picture of someone's cash for deposit. Yeah. See bro, just wait like 2 hours and take another photo of the same cash and deposit it again. And again and again. Whoa. Instant money? Yeah bro, instant money. We're gonna be so rich off this $84. There is a considerable overlap between the intelligence of the smartest bears and the dumbest tourists. Yosemite Park Ranger on why it's hard to design a bear-proof garbage can. I used to work in Banff National Park. One day at the end of the tour, I was driving some guests back to their hotel and a woman was adamant that Banff was clearly a very dangerous place to visit since we just let wild animals run around everywhere. They should be in cages. Had to fight the urge to throw her off the bus pretty hard. Some other gems that came up in the past included guests insisting he needed to change money they got in BC to Alberta currency, not a real thing. A man arrived very irate that the entire Trans-Canada Highway was not lit with proper street lamps every 100 yards. That would be a stunning waste of energy, not to mention probably cost more than our national budget, and your car has lights on it. More than a few have grossly underestimated the distances involved in a country like Canada. No, you cannot drive from Calgary to Toronto and back in the same day for lunch at the CN Tower. No, you cannot drive from Calgary to Toronto and back in the same day for lunch at the CN Tower. Well, not legally anyway. Edit. While I wasn't expecting this much interest in my offhand joke, I'm actually planning to do this trip in a day with a dog-sled team. Just for the challenge, you understand. A woman I used to work with who insisted that any animal could reproduce with any other animal. She believed that sperm from any animal was the same and that DNA was irrelevant. She believed this because she once saw some sickly, possibly deformed puppies and decided that they must have been half dog and half rat. If she ever saw a centaur, she'd probably be buying lots of horse sperm. The fact Florida had to tell people not to shoot at the hurricane. Even better, the fact that NOAA even has to have a section on their site explaining why using nuclear weapons against hurricanes is far worse than the worst idea you can possibly imagine. One of my nieces had a cold as a toddler and was breathing through her mouth. My ex-BIL flipped out because he didn't want her to get carbon monoxide poisoning from breathing through her mouth instead of her nose, the normal way. When my daughter was born, we had to see the hospital pediatrician before we could switch to our usual one. We're in a tiny exam room and he's going over the do's and don'ts for new parents. To precede this, he's an older Southern man. And I assume she will be sleeping in a crib in the nursery? We have a bassinet set up beside the bed to make night feeding easier. She can't sleep with you. She won't be in the bed, she has a bassinet beside the bed. If she sleeps in the same room, there will be too much carbon dioxide and she'll suffocate. That's what causes SIDS. Then isn't this exam room unsafe? We put in a complaint with the practice and the hospital. That's some ridiculously incorrect information to be spouting off at people, especially parents who take everything a doctor says as gospel. I can't even find the logic in that. I worked at Little Caesars and we were proofing the dough for pizza. My boss said at 7 p.m. that the dough needed to rise for 12 hours and took out her calculator to do the math. So I said that's gonna be 7 a.m. Then she said the dough will expire in 48 hours and started doing the math again. I told her it would expire 2 days from now and she said that's kinda weird how that works out, huh? I quit shortly after that. The most surprising thing here for me is that Little Caesars bakes fresh dough. In grade 10, we had a science test, and the teacher gave 1 point for putting a date on the paper and 1 point for your name on the paper, and then there were 98 points for the rest of the test. A guy sitting in front of me got 0.5 out of 100, didn't write the date and only wrote his first name. That's freaking hilarious? Reminds me of the time my classmate copied the test answers of my other smarter classmate in 2nd grade. He got caught because he copied the name too. 2nd grade? I saw that happen in high school. The next day the teacher was just savage publicly calling it out. 30+ years later, I still remember him starting out the class congratulating Todd on doing so well on the test, but next time, he didn't need to hand in 2 copies. Oh, and by the way, I didn't get anything handed in by Mike. Sorry Mike, you get a 0.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, remember to like and subscribe. Have a great day.